I got to prepare before I start. Let's see. Good morning. Let's try it again. Good morning. There we go, there we go. Class of 2017, how are you? You've done it. Despite all the late nights of partying, despite the drama and emotion of girlfriends and boyfriends, and despite having your Facebook sessions interrupted by classes, you've managed to pull it all together and you have got it done. President Kinloch, members of the board, governors, members of the faculties of School of Computing and Academic Studies, Health Sciences, distinguished guests, parents, and especially the graduating class. It's a tremendous honor and a pleasure for me to be here today to speak to you all. I must confess one thing. The last commencement speech I gave was almost 10 years ago. I had a very difficult graduating class. Having them focus on what I was saying for more than 2 minutes was very, very difficult. I can tell you, I don't think they understood my description of black swan events. Nonetheless, they did sit through it, and eventually they did graduate from elementary school. So as part of my address today, I think I'm expected to impart upon you some lasting words of wisdom that are so profound, so insightful, that they will change your life. Well, let me assure you that is highly unlikely. It is improbable that I can accomplish in 15 minutes what your professors have attempted to do during their time here, and that with only marginal success. What I will share with you is my sense of what I believe you will face in your careers. So let's get started. Let me ask you a question first. You're all graduating. What do you think BCIT has empowered you with? A diploma, knowledge, facts, information? Let me tell you, it's much, much more than that. They've equipped you with the most powerful of superpowers. No, you cannot leap over tall buildings, and you cannot start fire with your eyes. What they have empowered you with is the ability to think critically, far beyond the boundaries that are defined by your diplomas. The ability to see beyond the obvious, to stitch together bold new ideas in yet unconceived and transformative ways. Transformative. Remember this word. No, better still, remember the phrase disruptive transformation. I believe this phrase is a better description of what you will experience in your lifetime. Now take a second. Think it with me. Are you thinking? Disruptive transformation. I cannot describe how envious I am of all of you. You're at the beginning of careers that are going to span some of the most transformative times in the history of mankind. There is a lot at stake, and everything is changing faster and faster. It is your generation that is the catalyst for this change. It is your generation that is challenging the status quo. How we think, how we communicate, how we interact, the politics we allow, how we enter and exit relationships, and our sense of what is right, wrong, and acceptable are all different than what they were even 10 years ago. From a business perspective, think of what Uber is doing to the taxi industry, what Airbnb is doing to the hotel industry, the notion of 3D printing human organs, drones. Think about how Amazon is using big data to change the landscape of online retail? What is happening with self-driving cars? In 10 years, will you be buying a BMW or will you be subscribing to a car service? Disruptive transformation is already happening, and you cannot stop it, nor should you. But you do have the ability to shape it, embrace it, and apply the best parts to your life. If you don't believe that disruptive transformation is already here, just ask Alexa or Siri, your new personal assistant. This new breed of information device are invading homes across North America, Europe, and Asia. They sit silently, they listen, they collect information about you, correlate it with your presence on the web, your driving habits, your medical records, your photographs, and much, much more. The collected data is used to understand your likes, dislikes, your behavior, your wants, your needs, and buying habits. As more data is captured, learning algorithms located in the cloud will not just know and understand you, but they will also be able to predict your every move. So disruptive transformation is happening all around us. However, this change comes with great responsibility. And as a new generation of empowered change agents, which you all are, the responsibility of safekeeping what is reasonable and rational falls squarely on your shoulders. Let me ask you a question. Who are the they in the phrase, they will take care of it? There is no they. It is you. It has to be you. In many areas of technology, we have reached a bit of a tipping point where our understanding of the new technology lags our understanding of the implications of the technology on society. Is Facebook a good thing, a bad thing? Only time will say. Only time will tell. I say the jury is still out. And the background of the speed of innovation accelerates faster and faster. If transformative change is inevitable, it is reasonable to assume that you are going to have to change, transform, adapt at the same rate. What I mean by this is that you will need to continue to learn new skills, comprehend new ideas, and apply them in professions that are yet to be defined. These professions may be outside your current field of expertise and knowledge. Sounds scary, exciting, interesting, all at the same time. You in your lifetime will be exposed to things we cannot possibly imagine today. Is this the rat race you're trying to avoid? Well, you can't avoid it. So I suggest you embrace it. Let it carry you to new heights. If you don't, you will be left behind with a skill set that is oh so 5 years old. I have been blessed in my career. I graduated in 1987 with a degree in electrical and computer engineering from the Technical University of Nova Scotia. So my university doesn't exist anymore. I don't know what my degree means. Academically, I would characterize myself as an average student, but with above average curiosity. If you wanted to find me during my university days, I would be tinkering in the lab. I really wanted to understand how things work, how I was fascinated by electronics, robotics, sensors, and how mathematics seemed to tie it all together. Why this? Why that? I'm sure I drove my professors crazy with my self-created theories and unproven laws of physics. My first job was in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I designed wiring harnesses for military helicopters. I was 24, full of confidence, and I was certain I knew everything about everything. Then reality struck. One day, I was asked to solve a real-world problem. Even with all the theory, science, and mathematics I learned in engineering, I struggled to find a solution to a seemingly simple problem. My boss noted my lack of progress and assigned me an assistant. He was a 64-year-old war veteran, a technical draftsman that had not even completed high school. For 3 months, this so-called assistant quietly and patiently schooled me in the art of electronics. A few months later, we did solve the problem. But now I had a bruised ego and a mentor that was my assistant. Well, this wasn't how it was supposed to play out. I did learn something very, very important those few months. I learned the difference between competence, confidence, and arrogance, and the fact that I had still much, much more to learn. So why is this important? Well, in reflection, what I needed, what I was looking for from my university education was hands-on skills and a practical understanding to complement my academic training. Yes, I needed to understand theory, but I was driven to create. And I am not sure I had mastered the skills to do so. So in this regard, what BCIT has given you is practical skills that are highly sought by employers and industry alike. It is why BCIT has a 96+% placement rate. BCIT produces candidates that can add value immediately, not in 6 months or a year after a new employee has been hired and retrained. So in this regard, BCIT is also engaged in disruptive transformation. They are redefining higher education, and I want to congratulate them for having the foresight and the fortitude to challenge traditional thinking. My professional career has weaved itself through many industries I could never have conceived of when I first started my career. I have led engineering divisions that have created satellites worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I was senior director of business development at Microsoft when I joined in a small group called Xbox. I later became the head of Xbox Japan and the first general manager for Microsoft Canada Development Center, located right here in Richmond, British Columbia. After Microsoft, I once again jumped to something completely different. I joined a private equity fund called Intellectual Ventures. It invested in finding and commercializing early-stage disruptive innovations. Yes, I have been blessed and I have been lucky. I have been told that to be successful, you have to be fortunate enough to be given an opportunity, smart enough to recognize it as an opportunity, and inspired enough to make the most of it. In my career, I have neither recognized every opportunity, nor have I made the best of the ones that I recognized. That's just life. But I believe my luck is changing. 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to get involved with a startup company called LifeLens. You have heard of the Internet of Things, the Internet of Everything. Well, LifeLens is the Internet of you, a digital you, a quantized you. At LifeLens, we created Jack, this is what it is. We created a wearable, patch-based biosensor that continuously monitors and analyzes your physiology, vital signs, your movement, behavior, and the local environment that you live in. The sensor itself is the size of a bandage and the thickness of a piece of Scotch tape. And you apply it to your chest, and it knows everything about everything. Today, we are likely the most advanced thin-film biosensor on the globe. So why is this important? Well, our technology is positioned or poised to disrupt and transform a number of industries. And in doing so, we're further blurring the boundaries between the traditional fields of medicine, nursing, mathematics, computer science, education, analytics. This new field is sometimes called digital health. So let's take a second and examine the silent paradigm shift that's taking place in healthcare. This too is disruptive transformation. In medicine, we're going from reactive medicine to proactive. In care, we're going from in-home to, in-hospital to in-home. Conversations that were typically doctor-driven are now being led by self-aware patients. Monitoring is no longer discrete, it is continuous. Treatments are no longer general, they're specific. And costs and economics have to move from being unsustainable to sustainable. So what does this mean for you? Well, if you're in healthcare, your place of work is likely to shift in part from the hospital to a patient's home. You will need to learn much more about computer-based tools so that you can monitor and treat patients more accurately in less time and with greater efficiency. Your options for treatment will now be based on immediate observation and previously collected patient data. Contextual patient behavior will play a significant role in creating personalized treatment plans. Patients armed with their own historical data will be much more informed about their issues, and you, as their caregiver, will be quizzed as to your knowledge. The treatments you offer will likely be a result of a joint discussion between you and the patients you care for. It's not more work, it's just different, perhaps different than what you expected. If you're from the software and computing background, your software and algorithms will need to be real-time and dynamic. They will need to be self-learning and continuously iterate, providing better, more precise solutions over time. The software you create must be able to fetch, manipulate, correlate, store, and update massive amounts of personal data, and do so ubiquitously, securely, over multiple platforms. It has been said that all you need to survive is food, shelter, and clothing. I often wonder if that's true anymore. I know much of the younger generation has a greater appetite for data than food. Today, you can certainly add the needs of communication, safety, and health to this list. The market research company, IDC, said until 2012, the world created 2.8 zettabytes of information. So when I read this, I had no idea what a zettabyte was. Let me tell you, 1 zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabytes. So we've, up to now, have done 2.8 zettabytes of information. We forecast, the same company forecasts that we will generate as society 40 zettabytes by 2020. That's 40 trillion gigabytes of data. That's a 4 with 25 zeros behind it. Let me put that in perspective. That's 2 million times more than all the grains of sand on the globe. By 2020, 1.7 megabytes of new information will be created every second for every human being on Earth. So, what this tells me is that you, better be ready for a digital and data revolution unlike anything you've seen before. Embrace it. Can't stop it. I mentioned earlier that with great change comes great opportunity. And even with I mentioned earlier that with great change comes great opportunity, and with that comes even a greater responsibility for each of us as individuals. I do worry about how fast this disruptive transformation is coming. I do question if all of them are good. Biologists say that as social animals, we have an inherent need to interact and touch and feel and experience the wonders that our senses offer us. So, in your quest to become the next multi-gazillionaire, I hope you take the time to cherish the most important things in life: your family, your faith in humanity, and develop a reliance on yourself. I hope you create a circle of great friends that you talk to face and not just text. I really encourage you to travel, see the world, understand its people, grow your compassion for others. I think you will find there is much more that unites us than divides us. In closing, remember, in this ever-changing world full of disruptive transformation, you are the change agents. So you must get involved. You have the collective power to challenge the powerful. Exercise your power and use it wisely. The world depends on it. I wish you all the greatest success in all that you do. Thank you, congratulations, and a job well done.